Catherine Cullen's been tracking this story today from Ottawa. Catherine, tell us what we know about why these Canadians have become ill.
Well, frankly, Rosemary, in some ways, this story is more mysterious than ever now, and that's despite the fact that Canadian and American officials have been looking into this for about a year now. A senior Canadian official did say today that those up to 10 people who have been experiencing these syndromes, they've come back to Canada. In some cases, their symptoms were getting better, but in some cases, their symptoms have actually come back once again. And so we find ourselves with this medical enigma of sorts. Some people are calling it Havana syndrome. Just listen to an American doctor who examined some American diplomats who fell ill.
So this is kind of like, immaculate concussion. We don't know what happened. And yet they look almost exactly like the patients we would see in a concussion clinic.
Canadian officials said today that two causes are now thought to be improbable. This wasn't a sonic attack, and it wasn't a mass psychogenic illness, basically a sort of hysteria with no physical cause. Officials also said today that they've done environmental testing for the diplomatic residences of embassy staff, and that didn't lead to a cause. Instead, Global Affairs Canada says medical information points to a new type of possible acquired brain injury. Department officials are calling for more research, noting the cause remains unknown but could be human-made. And listen to what the American expert had to say about that.
Is this the first time you have to deal with something like that?
I think it's the first time anybody's had to deal with this.
In the medical history?
Yeah, there really is nothing like this.
Now, to be clear, Canadian officials are not blaming anyone for this. It's not clear if an individual or several people are really responsible for all this. We still have so many questions. They have said, though, that Cuban officials have been very helpful. They've been cooperative during the investigations, Rosemary.
Okay, as I mentioned off the top, so many Canadians go down to Cuba for holidays. Should other Canadians be worried about this?
Well, Global Affairs Canada says no. They say that when you look at what's happened here, there really was just this cluster of incidents affecting Canadian and American diplomats and their families. They do not believe that there is an increased level of threat to Canadian tourists. They do say, though, that while they continue to investigate this, they continue to have hope. They really are not any closer to figuring out exactly what has happened here.
Such a strange story. Thanks, Catherine. Appreciate it. CBC's Catherine Cullen in Ottawa tonight. Unaccompanied posts are considered so dangerous that diplomats can't take their family members. Typically, that title is given to conflict zones, but with Havana now on that list, that means the Canadian Foreign Service considers Cuba as dangerous as the missions in Afghanistan, Iraq, Libya, and South Sudan.